child, and face your destiny. I see your future, and it is seeing Percy Jackson the musical.
These are some of the costumes designed by Yvonne L. Miranda for The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical that recently played at the First Stage Children's Theater. Next month, Milwaukeeans will see her work at the Milwaukee Rep's production of Nina Simone, Four Women. But local residents have seen her work before in August Wilson's 7 Guitars at the Rep and in The Hobbit at First Stage. Within the past few years, she has been the costume designer for dozens of shows across the country, bringing to life her childhood love of fashion and design.
I always, since the age of like 12, would just draw clothes. I would try to style my own Barbies because I couldn't afford, I couldn't afford the clothes. And I would also try to like build, their own houses and everything like that. And as I grew up, I ended up going to a magnet school called Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts in Dallas, Texas. And a teacher was like, you should apply, because I was very good at drawing. So I got in there, but I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to do. I would just go to all my fun classes and never really take my, health, social studies very seriously. So I ended up going to a regular high school, and my grades weren't as good just because it was something that I really wasn't interested in. And I was trying to figure out how I would pay for college and, have something to fall back on. And so at the time I was reading through magazines, and they had those little postcards in there, like for the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Marines. So I sent all of them off, and the Marines were the first ones to call me back. They must have been very desperate. They were like, hey, are you still interested? So they actually sent a recruiter to my school. He pulled me out. I did the ASVAB test, and then I got shipped off right after graduation.
After 5 years in the Marine Corps, she traded her combat boots for a career in theater, opera, film, and television, and earning her MFA in stage design from the Meadows School of Arts from Southern University and a BFA in fashion design from the University of North Texas. There has been an increase in the number of roles for people of color on stage, but that has not resulted in a significant increase of jobs for people of color behind the scenes, at least not yet.
I really wasn't aware of that until I got into theater, because I don't come from theater. And so that was very eye-opening when I actually started working, how many people who were like me, who weren't behind the scenes. And especially when there's telling stories about people like us. That was really crazy to see that there really wasn't any people like me behind the scenes to give nuances to the design. And it's just been really jarring, but also it's just been really exciting, because when I get to work with actors, I can advocate for them. And a lot of times they're just really happy that someone like me is there when it comes to costumes, because there's always issues that arise when it comes to like their hair or their makeup or what they're asked to do by a designer who doesn't look like them. So I'm always very cautious and just trying to make my performers comfortable, and advocating for certain things that I see that aren't right when it happens behind the set or behind closed doors. And yeah, so I hope that we see more out there. I do try to advocate for having assistants or just talking to students. I actually finally got a teaching job in Minnesota that I'm gonna be starting in the fall, because that is a real big passion of mine, because getting to this career was very difficult, because when you're not exposed to theater when you're young, you don't know that it's a job. I was exposed through film and television. So that's the lens that I wanted to go to. And I actually got the opportunity to do that and decided that I didn't want to do it at that moment in my life because of my family and just the politics behind trying to get into the union. There's a lot of gatekeeping when it comes to doing this professionally, as in getting into the union. It costs money. You have to have a certain amount of like credits of what you worked on. And a lot of people aren't aware of that, and they don't have access to that, and they don't even know that there's a union for us. So these were things I found out by having to go to grad school. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't have known how to basically get into this career path.
Are you optimistic that things will get better?
Oh yes, I am. I'm very much am. I believe it needs to start though in the school level, which is why I'm a big believer in the teaching environment, which is why I want to be one, because if it wasn't for my teachers just guiding me along the way, I don't know exactly how I would have been here. Because a lot of the times, like, your family is like, oh, that's not a real job. You know, they don't support you. They're well-meaning, but they're like, I don't think that's something that you should do or that you're gonna make it at. And a lot of the times it's the teachers who are giving you the resources and just the knowledge of being like, no, you can do this. So yeah, I'm very much optimistic.
If we don't claim our real names, we allow ourselves to be erased. How is a song gonna change